You're already in good shape. Right now, I would like to talk about this is a safe place, all right? You can admit this, but is there someone in here who hasn't ever gone to the App Store and downloaded an app? Okay? Okay, all right, that's good. Is there someone in here who's talking about All right. Then, Mr. Chris, we'll probably sit down one-on-one just to make sure that you hook up that Apple ID. All right. And once you sign up for that, you can download apps for free. You can tie your credit card to it if you want to, but that Apple ID is very powerful. That is how you connect in iMessage. That's how you connect in FaceTime. That's how you connect in Game Center if you do that kind of thing. It's very important that Apple ID is one password that you never forget. It's a little confusing because oftentimes, I've seen the majority of times out there, folks, Apple ID is a Walter State email address. Okay, that's fine, that's cool, that's good. But they think that the password will be their Walter State password that they change every 90 days. That's not it. Okay, so that's just another password to memorize because I know you don't have enough already. But that is one password that never changes unless you go in and change it with Apple. So that's always static. More than likely, about 85% of the time, it's your Walter State email address that folks decide. So anyway, that folks decide to use. Let me now get on. We talked about iPad 201, and by the way, I'm always up for talking iPads. So if you want to know, if you want to have a 301 session, I'm all for it. All right, just let me know. I'd love to do that. So right now, we do need to talk about these lovely pieces of equipment right here known as iPad cards. Okay, there are, at my last count, 18 of these throughout the campuses. Okay, some of them are owned by divisions, like the divisions bought them, and they kind of, everybody shares here. All right, so even though they own them, they can check them out to other divisions at the dean's discretion. But there are a lot of communal iPad cards. They're the ones that were purchased by the college, and anybody can go out there and get them. But they're usually housed in divisions, though. I'm making this so confusing. But even though they're owned by the college, they're kind of shepherded by the certain divisions. Shortest answer for all of this, if you want to use an iPad card, go to the Oracle of all knowledge in your division, and that, of course, is the secretary. They will know who syncs it. They're going to know the checkout procedures, which there is one of those. Okay, I do want to show you how you can get apps on there. You don't do that. All right, there's card syncing facilitators, and your division secretary will know who that is too. But when it comes to free apps, and you say, this app is great, one of these apps that I learned about the Mobile Learning Academy, I want this on every iPad that I check out next Tuesday. Well, make sure you give them plenty of warning that you want to put apps on there. It's not a fast process as far as technically fast, not administratively fast. That goes pretty quick. But what you're going to need to do is just email that mobile card facilitator and say, and it's usually whenever you're signing up for the card, I need the app blank on there, and it's free. Okay? If it is a paid app, you need to talk to your dean. That's the first step. And once your dean, because you don't, there is a form that you can fill out to get apps, paid apps on iPad cards at no cost to you. Okay, so we're talking about cost apps, so I'm hoping Ms. Darlene is plugging her ears right now. But if there are some apps out there that you want your division to pay for, there's this little form online that you can go to in order to request it. But again, first step is talking to your dean because nobody wants to be blindsided by a purchase request. Okay? But once he or she gives you the thumb up, you can go to the help desk website, which is helpdesk.ws.edu. And at the help desk website, at helpdesk.ws.edu, you see at the top right corner there, mobile device. You click or tap on that, depending upon if you're on an iPad, and right down here It's called the Volume Purchasing Program, VPP. That's what we call it internally, and that's what Apple calls it too. You fill out this application here, and you would want to choose academic affairs, naturally. But you just fill out this form with details about the app request that you want to use. There's a little thing about justification. You don't have to write a novel. And then that form goes to VPP facilitators who will get with your dean, who will then give, yes, I know about it. They can totally have that app. And then it comes out of a divisional account. And all of a sudden, you've got paid apps on your iPhone. Okay? Now, this is are there ways? Can I just buy one app and push it down to 30 iPads? Yes, but that's called piracy. Okay? We don't want to do that. So there are ways of making that work, but this is the official way to do it. And by the way, this is like the Sam's Club of app purchasing, by the way. We get a discount for buying in bulk. Big discount, sometimes. Up to 50% off on some particular apps. It's really the discretion of the app developer. But you need to be heading here in order to buy paid apps, to get them on the carts. But the carts themselves, when you roll these puppies in, what do you get? Right? I should have had that unlocked before. This is the worst kept secret in all of Walter State. But the combination to get into these cards, I think in every card except public safeties, they're the only ones that's a little different. I can't remember what the code was. But in every card on campus, the code is the year the college is founded. It's 1970. All right, we're pretty liberal with that secret as long as it doesn't get into students' hands. That's the most important thing. So I'm going to, it's one of these 4-digit deals. So I do want to show you what's inside here. So I'm going to go 1970. And you know what? There's a little trick here where you're going to have to hold your mouth right. Because if you put in the combination of 1970 and start pulling, nothing's going to happen. It's kind of an up and down deal. So I'm going to go up and down and open it up. Oh, thank goodness there's iPads in there because I just took it out of the division and didn't even check that. But you see there's a whole bunch of cords here plugged into iPads, okay? These are iPad 2s. It's those wide 30-pin connectors on them. And one thing that we ask, and it's pretty, this is an academic, is an academic policy, not an IET one, so I'm not exactly sure if any policy shifts have occurred. But one thing that was requested is that students, like there's a notepad at top, and you just, if I'm a student and I get an iPad, I write down my name next to iPad 2. Okay, just so we know who to send the Secret Service to if somebody writes a threatening letter to the president. But that's not really it. It's if there are any drops, we don't go after the student and get that information, but it is kind of nice to just have on record for memo purposes. Okay. That took too long to explain. But anyway, you got these 30-pin connectors, and you just take them out, and they're iPads. They're iPads that you want to check the days before to make sure your app got on here from the cart facilitator in your division. But you will have, the thing about this is these iPads aren't really restricted in any way. In fact, that students can take pictures with them, put those photos on the hard drive. You want to be very careful if you're using some type of web app that students sign out of that. So they're not leaving their email open and that type of thing, because Apple has not provided any way to just say, okay, like we can do with computer labs, hit a button and everything wipes out. Can't do it with these. We try to do it once a summer. That's the best we can do. Okay, but that's all right. Students are pretty, there are some punks out there that just like to go in and fiddle with the settings. Like you get the iPad and all of a sudden they go in the accessibility features for people that are like colorblind and they turn off all the color just to be punks. So you have to be mindful of that, and usually, hopefully you'll have a spare iPad if your class doesn't contain 30 students and another student can take it up from there. But it is so important to have these things plugged back in. And there's a little trick that not a whole lot of people know about, and I'm not even going to attempt to spin this thing around, but there are indicator lights on yellow or green. I can't really remember the color. Just make sure that they're all connected, because students, they're just slamming them in there, barely put the connector, and they're walking away. And all of a sudden, you've got 6 or 7 dead iPads the next day that you can use it. So be very careful with that. But it's also something the car facilitator, he or she, might catch as well. What questions you all have about iPad cars?